Hi, welcome to Far From Eden. The question I get asked all the time is, how did I become this way? How did I become so supportive of men and men when they want to go their own direction, so to speak? Basically, when men say, I don't feel like relationships are worth the risk. And I cover that a lot in the early videos of this channel and throughout. But I have to give credit where credit's due also, because like many of you, I learned about how big of an issue this is, how many men it affects, all of them, whether they know it or not. And I have, Better Bachelor, you already know, is one to thank from a previous video I did. I've mentioned Kevin Samuels many times before, and all of his, older videos talking about what men are actually interested in and looking for and how they view single moms, really seeing it from a man's point of view. Now, I had that, in my own life, being able to see it through the men in my own life's point of view, but then to see these account after account after account of the women and their expectations, and this word deserve popping up all the time. And the other one that was very helpful, and I know now some of us who were big fans in the beginning, maybe not as much anymore, and that's Jordan Peterson. But remember, back, 2018, 2019, when he really started to blow up online, at least that's when I found him. And he talked about the pay gap and the realities of, equality and stuff like that. And so I have those men to thank. However, there's, the new one that I've learned a lot from, and that's Homath, because thinking about sweeper, sleeper, and keeper, the way men categorize and look at everything through cost benefit ratio, it's so very different from the way women think. Obviously we are more in touch with our feelings. Yeah, we can call it that. We can call it reactive and all kinds of things. But yeah, so there's a name that I don't know how he flew under my radar. There's several of them because you guys have mentioned them to me. And I'm like, how did I don't know. But one of them is Alexander Grace. And I've not watched very much of his stuff. Actually, I just have been introduced to, not to him, but to his content. And I love the way he presents it. It's very matter of fact. There's no emotion. Like it's presented in such a way that how can you really get angry at what he's saying? I think that's the genius in it, because it would be pretty difficult to explain what's offensive. Now, I've not seen everything. Obviously, I've just dipped my toe in, but I wanted to watch this particular video with you. I have seen it, but I have some things to say and add about the women and what it's like from our point of view through these stages, and just how we get there, and what we're actually thinking and expecting, etc. I know it's pretty hard to say, I'm going to explain the unexplainable, but you guys seem to value my translating of the woman speak, and it's now become a bit of a skill. I never knew I was going to have this skill. but yeah, and I know I shouldn't, but I feel sorry. That's an unfortunate frame to be stopped on. I feel sorry for some of these women, and I'll tell you why. It is because of the sheer propaganda that we have been inundated with. However, I don't feel sorry enough for them to think that they are justified in hurting men or taking advantage of men. So, you know, my sympathy will only go so far. And I've seen way too many of your all's stories to have unending patience with a lot of these women. So, okay, starting out, this woman is already has her hair, and she's she already looks very young, kind of stunted in a way. So that was my first impression of this woman.
I'm so excited that I'm turning 20 tomorrow. Not a teenager anymore. No, I'm so excited. You can really tell. I'm so excited. No, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Like, not to take pleasure in the tears of the suffering of any human being, but seeing this clip, I actually found kind of refreshing. Like, this was relatable. It's normal. It's natural to feel sad at getting older. At a biological level, it's normal for women to feel sad as...
I don't think she's sad. I think she's afraid. I think she's actually kind of afraid that it's time to grow up, that kid time is over. I think she's afraid.
They age. Their fertility window is closing, their attractiveness to men decreases. It used to be normal for women to be sad about getting older. We all used to understand that, but now consider what happens to women in a society if the culture has repeatedly lied to them about their aging process, telling them that their opportunities are going to multiply, that they're still beautiful, that they're still desirable. Observe.
What's your age?
36.
28.
Are you single?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a red flag that you're single at 36.
No.
Why
Because-
would it be a red flag? She's a picky woman.
So what does a right man look like to you?
Someone who believes in women and men share gender roles. It's not the old days where it's like women cook and clean and take care of the children. We're all educated these days.
So you wouldn't mind having a stay-at-home husband while you took care of the house?
I
don't
we
think
should.
that's equal. You know,
No.
it should be fair.
Why would I be panicked if I was 37 and single? Being single, vibing, like I'm in my beautiful New York City apartment. I'm good. There's no panic over here. And this idea of the panic and the doom that's going to come when you hit your late 30s, it is so rooted in patriarchy. Because think about it, if we let go of all this fear and instead decided to uphold a higher standard for all men collectively as women, then men would be forced to change and to evolve.
I mean,
Why? Why would men be forced to change and evolve? Why? How? What do they need from you? That's just it. They're not. That's why they're leaving the plantation, because they don't have to. They don't need you. They can say, no, I guess I won't be having a family because I really wanted a certain type of wife who wanted to be a wife. I didn't want, a kind of a female version of myself that has some kind of paycheck, but also expects, the traditional male for him to bring all the traditional male type stuff to the table, fix things, go get the scary, figure out what the scary thing is at night. And as far as, again, she's completely clueless. These women have no idea what aging is. They have no idea what happens when you start to have health problems. They're not rooted in reality. She says she's fine. And it's like looking at her apartment. Look at me. I have all this stuff. I'm fine. Guess what? It will get empty. You will be lonely. And also, I have been using this Shakespeare phrase a lot lately, and that is, the lady doth protest too much. If you're fine, if you're great, why are you making a video saying you're fine and great? People who say, it's like the first woman who's turning 20, and she had that like crying and happy and it, to me, I'm looking at her and she's afraid. She's afraid to grow up and have responsibilities because she's expected to go out there and be like a man and not need a man and have this big career and put off having children, all of it, right? That fear and everything, that is actually one of the most real things I've ever seen. Although I do think that Alexander here was misinterpreting what was going on with her. And it's easy to do. It is easy to do. But if you think she's upset because her looks are fading because she's getting older, that is not what she thinks. Because women just don't think that anymore. And you'll see that later on in this video. And I'll explain to you what it's like and what it's been like to be inundated with that propaganda and how you can come to believe such insane things, or how you can become so delusional as to think that you're fine. And you don't need that, because I was there too. I wasn't on any carousel. I was just defiant, thinking no man will want me because of my disease, and I won't put all that on someone because that's not fair, etc., etc. I'll just focus on what I'm doing with my job, and I'll just try to be a good person and be a good mentor. Well, that was all fine and dandy for me to come up with my own kind of plan and my own decisions. And I would have told you I was fine too. I would have. But guess what? You don't know everything when you think you know everything. And as soon as you think you know everything, that's when later on you'll realize back then you had no wisdom. And I don't know when the chickens will come to roost for some of these women, that they will learn. I like to use the expression like, hey, who's going to take you to get your colonoscopy? You know what I'm saying? We all age. We do. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit more later. But the materialism, what they are trained success means, and what happiness is made up of, it's all a lie. And it's all just, it's a foundation of sand. And they're going to start realizing, and some of them are realizing, I think, making their TikToks crying and, regretful. I don't know how many are real, but they're coming.
And that's the new one. Patriarchy now being blamed for women aging. I mean, the mere suggestion that men might not be interested in dating older women, it's so rooted in patriarchy. The irony of calling that perspective sexist, men not wanting to date old women, is that it's exactly the opposite. It is sexist, but against men. Her framing, men need to change, men need to evolve. That perspective is massively sexist against men. Firstly, from the perspective of consent and choice, why shouldn't men have the right to be attracted to and to date whoever they choose? If they find a 21-year-old woman more attractive than a 37-year-old woman, that's his choice, that's his business. Respect it. But
I love that he's turning sort of their argument around on them, because they want to talk about preference and this, that, and the other when they want these super tall guys and all their ridiculous, desires that they, things they deserve. And he's kind of turning it around to where if I were ever to get to have a conversation like this with a woman, this is how I would present it. I would present it just this way. Say, actually, no, it's not the patriarchy. It's just you don't like it. Everything you don't like isn't the patriarchy. I would say, why isn't he allowed to have preferences? And this is the way to make that argument. I think Alexander Grace has just the best delivery of explaining it to a woman, honestly, because Kevin Samuels is great, but he could make them mad, right? And that actually has its place because it helps wake up the women who are watching. Might not wake up the one he's talking to, but it wakes up some that are watching because they're like, "Ooh, I don't want to be like that," because we do that. We that's how the hive works sometimes. When we see something that looks bad and is embarrassing, we don't want to be like that.
secondly, from the perspective of biological reality, there are good reasons why men are attracted to young women and not old ladies. Younger women are less likely to have had a large number of sexual partners, which in turn means that her capacity to pair bond and show loyalty is much higher. They're healthier, they're more beautiful, they have more years ahead of them to spend in a partnership. They're often more feminine, they're less cynical. And young women are less likely to have had a large number of sexual partners, which gives her an increased capacity to show loyalty to pair bond. There's a greater chance of paternity certainty. There's a reduced chance of her cheating. She's more likely to have healthy children, and she has the capacity to have lots more children than an older woman does. These are male preferences that we have no control over. They are biologically hardwired into us, and it is incredibly sexist of women to not respect that. Yet
it's also better for young women to have children, not only because they can have more, but because they're in a better stage of life to keep up with them, to play with them, to teach them, to have more patience, etc. Right? When you're older, that's time for grandbabies. You're more sedentary. You know what I mean? It's all planned out according, almost like there's an intelligent creator that wove it all perfectly together. Yeah, it's absolutely sexist for women to not see it that way. And the other thing I was going to say is to find a younger woman, she's more feminine and feminine and friendly because she's had fewer years trying to compete with men and in her career and everything, and that hardens us. It hardens us. We are not wired to go and advocate for ourselves to get a raise. You know, we're not wired to have those sorts of conflicts. I mean, women will quit a job and go to another job that pays higher and never negotiate with where they are to get the higher. They just don't want to have that conversation. I mean, that's how we're not made for those sorts of roles. And they're trying to change society so the roles are different and you just get the promotion and everything. It's not going to work that way. And it's funny that that's how much they have to bend society to make it so that women can be successful in it. And all it does is really harden us and resent us. Is not where we belong. It's not what we were made for. And I understand that a lot of women will feel triggered by that. Like, how dare you? You should feel honored by it. It's a wonderful, beautiful calling. What's better than wife and mother? And the fact that it has all been cast as this role that only it limits you so much and you won't be happy, etc. Well, the things that they said, the powers that be, the propaganda that they said would make us happy, careers and single everything, the ones who are out there saying they're happy, it really does seem like the lady doth protest too much. They're just not, it's not what we're cut out for.
So often we see that there is no respect for what men want. Men's preferences are not considered important. What's important are women, what a woman is feeling. Our priority is to make sure that every single woman out there feels beautiful and desirable, no matter her age. And so, have you noticed that there is a concerted push across the culture trying to convince men that older and older women are attractive? Check out this headline. Angelina Jolie shows off age-defying makeover. Angelina Jolie is 49 years old. Beautiful, yes, but she looks 49. Jennifer Aniston explains why she doesn't seem to age. Okay, no doubt she is a beautiful woman, but she absolutely ages. She's 55 now, and she looks 55. Salma Hayek, 56, is aging backwards in glam new photo. Aging backwards, really? The subtitle there says Salma Hayek looked like her 25-year-old self in a new selfie shared to Instagram. All right, let's test that. Let's look to see what she looked like 30 years ago. Okay, that's her in her mid-20s. Now let's look at both of these photos side by side. Does that look like a woman who hasn't aged? God, no. She's 56. She looks 56. She's a beautiful 56-year-old woman. Why is there such a market for articles like this? Why do so many women click on these headlines? Any media piece that portrays old women as like beautiful and stunning, like age doesn't affect them. These articles are just a package of lies that are being sold to women, and I can't understand why they would want to be customers. It seems to me that they just don't want to deal anymore with the uncomfortable reality of the fact that they will age, that their looks will fade.
Why would we want to do that? Because At the end of the day, it is in our DNA. It is how we are wired to be competitive with other women. That's why cover of magazines and everything like that. And remember, back in the day, if you grew up in the 90s like I did, or before, you would also remember, women would get mad, like, how can we keep up with these beauty standards? You're just making us feel bad having these models. And the retouching was the big thing back then, how models were retouched, and it's absolutely impossible for regular women to look that way. It's funny because who was saying regular women needed to look that way? Regular women. We compete. We see, oh, somebody's saying she's beautiful at this age. Oh, that's what I need to be. It's inherent in us. Women have a hierarchy of sort of beauty, because before this modern society where women could have a job and get money and seem to be sort of supporting herself and taking care of herself and everything, back before all that infrastructure, your beauty was going to get you, and your femininity and those things was going to, but everybody, all the women were feminine, and they knew how to be ladies. So your beauty was what was going to attract a very good husband. Well, that would mean resources. Resources for women have always been tied to their beauty, because their resources, as far as shelter, food, etc., protection, came through the man. And even though we have all of this in modern society, we're still doing it. We're still doing it. And those women, Selma Hayek, Rachel from Friends, Jennifer Aniston, and Skeletor there, Angelina Jolie, they're terrified to look older. But they're not just trying to look beautiful. Notice, beautiful is synonymous with sexually attractive, right? Can't you just be a beautiful woman? Can't you just be beautiful? No, it has to be, there has to be that kind of level of attraction. That's weird. That's not okay. Like, you're 55. It's over. It's a different stage of life, but they're terrified of the next stage of life and what it could mean. They're terrified of reality, apparently.
And so they're trying to buy into this narrative that you can defeat aging. You can look 25, even in your 50s. Here are the facts. Women, you will get older. You will get less attractive, and fewer men will desire you sexually. Certainly, when it comes to men looking to wife you up and start a family, as you get older, those options drop off exponentially. If that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, that sucks to be you, but that is reality. Now, in the face of that, you have three choices. Number one, be in denial. I will still be beautiful at 40. Men will still want me. Second choice, blame men. Yeah, I'm not as attractive as I once was, but men shouldn't be so superficial. Looks don't matter. Men shouldn't be so shallow. They should desire me even when I'm an old lady. That's also not going to work.
And what are they denying? What are they desiring you for? All you've done is sort of try to be beautiful, try to be attractive. What else have you invested in? Anything else that men would want? Because they're not interested in your degree, and they're really not interested in having another provider. Like, what are you bringing? And why are you so mad if they don't want it? They want what they want, and it's their choice.
Or your third choice, which is don't take your youth and your beauty for granted. Make good use of your time. Do not spend your 20s reveling in the power that you have over men, partying, soaking up attention, having one-night stands. You're wasting your best years. Use your peak desirability to find a good man and then secure a long-term commitment from him.
And learn what a good man is, because good man does not mean, over 6 foot, this, that, the other, 6 figures, 6-pack. It's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous to have those things. If a woman really wants to have a fulfilling life, she also has to learn, well, what am I actually looking for? Because looking for all those shallow, superficial things, well, of course you're not going to have success. Of course you're not. That's not what you build a relationship off of. So if she doesn't have character, it's really not going to make any difference.
That way, when your looks fade, you'll be okay because he's not just interested in your appearance. The two of you have pair bonded. You've created a life, probably a family together. Suddenly, you're not just valued for how pretty your face is, but by the fact that you're a good mother. Women, you need to have a plan for when your looks fade because they are going to fade. Trust me, it's coming.
What is something you found out late in life that you should?
That my body and looks and sexual desirability was not always going to be the same my entire life, and that it was at its peak in my early 20s, and that I should use that to my advantage in life, that I shouldn't give up the cat, whatever you want to call it, so early and make men actually chase you because that's the game. That's our power as well.
No. She's kind of there. I mean, I'm glad she's realized now that she squandered her best years, and she's only partially got it. She's just mad that she doesn't have more. Sounds like she's just kind of upset that she didn't manipulate men enough when she was in her 20s when she could have. And that's not what it's about, sweetie. You've got only part of it. You've only got part of it. You want to, use your beauty and youth to get a good man, but there needs to be more than beauty and youth, and not just oh, good, now I'm going to cash in to harpoon one that's going to, give me soft life. That's what it sounds like. It's sort of oh, I could have had soft life for a while and then divorced him. And then, you don't want that either. So some of these women are getting it, but they're not getting the whole picture. And she's definitely one of them.
Women, and that the sexual marketplace is not the same when you're dating in your 30s as when you're dating in your 20s. So maybe take it a little bit more seriously when you're in your 20s at your most powerful as a woman.
I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I still haven't let go of the feminism that I learned growing up in the 90s, where the teaching was all about how women should be valued for more than just their looks. These articles, I don't understand. How are they helpful? Does this not just reinforce that all women have to offer is their appearance? Isn't that sexist? We used to condemn the pressure that was put on female celebrities to always have to appear young.
Yeah. The term ageist came out in the 90s. That's ageist. And they had this whole big thing that after age 25, you're done in Hollywood. And it seemed like they tried to take certain actresses like Julia Roberts, for example, and keep putting them in leading lady roles at older ages. And I know now, looking back, that was all just to make us other girls think, oh, this is a prize. Think about the movie Ocean's 11, not the original one, but the first one with Andy Garcia and Julia Roberts and everything. And she was Andy Garcia's, main squeeze. And she was George Clooney's ex-wife. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think so. Andy Garcia was this multi-millionaire, probably billionaire in today's money. I don't think that Julia Roberts would have been his pick. I don't. He could have anybody. Why does he have this? He's Italian. He would have, a younger woman, or he would have somebody Julia Roberts' age, and he would have, a bunch of children and family with her. So, but it's all been propaganda all these years to make us think, oh, and Julia Roberts and Erin Brockovich. Oh my goodness. It's just in everything. And even as the Friends characters were getting older, oh my gosh, and the blank in the city, those women getting older. And apparently they were very desirable. That is just fiction. Fiction. But women buy into it. We love a good story. And we'll believe it if we want to. And that's the problem. We have believed what we've wanted to believe, but it doesn't make it the truth. And it's going to, it is steering so many women the wrong direction, and not towards fulfillment and not towards happiness. And look what it's done to the men. The men have taken the brunt of it for decades now, as far as in family court, etc., accusations. But it's not, I mean, it's when it's quiet at night, sometimes I think for some of these women, there's just not going to be enough wine. You know, they're just going to be sad and alone because they thought that they had something to prove all these years, and all they did was blame men.
You would feel sad for women in Hollywood in their 30s and 40s who felt like they still had to look like a 20-year-old and felt compelled to get all these plastic surgeries. Feminism used to get upset about that, but now look, we get articles like this one, ending the stigma. Celebrities are becoming more outspoken about plastic surgery. So what, now it's empowering for actresses in their 40s and 50s to be getting these surgeries to try and look 21? I get it. You used to be a sex symbol, but the thing is, you're in your 50s now. Let it go. Like, grow old with some dignity and some grace. Women get older, their looks fade, and shaming men about not finding old ladies sexy anymore is not the solution. Instead, we need to glorify and celebrate expressions of femininity in other forms, so that when women grow older and become beautiful, caring, nurturing mothers, they don't simultaneously feel the pressure to remain hot, sexy young women.
Exactly. It's a problem. We talked yesterday about the definition of words. Why does beauty mean sexually attractive? It doesn't have to be. Beauty comes in many different forms, and the beauty of being a wife, going through the stages of womanhood. The stages of womanhood are quite beautiful when they're done, you know, the way God intended. And women are fighting that. They're fighting against that. They just want to stay as if they're, you know, 25, let's say. I think in their head that'd be like the perfect age because they're young and they're hot and the world's their oyster. Because it's full of delusion. It's full of all these promises and of what life should be and is going to be. It's not the case. You have to have the stages of life. This is what I believe it should be. The young woman makes a very good young bride. She's feminine, she's positive, she's affectionate, and she's vibrant. And this is great for the brand new marriage. And then the babies start to come, and it takes a toll on a woman's body, but that's why you do this when you're younger, because you bounce back so much better. The babies are healthier, the mom is healthier, and you have as many babies as God blesses you with. I am not saying that this should be forced on anyone. No way. I think that it should just be something that women know they could do. You know, they could choose. There's nothing wrong with choosing to be conservative that way. And I'm not saying soft life. I'm not saying that. I'm saying actually be, homeschooling and gardening and cleaning and being a person who contributes to the household in a big way and helps make a big family and all of those things, and helps her husband and takes care of him. He takes care of her. We don't get mad about that. We don't get mad about him providing the house and him providing the protection. We don't get mad at that. So we shouldn't be mad. Us women shouldn't be mad at us providing something for him. We both provide. It's just different what we're providing. And it works very well. It's very complementary. And then, after the babies, let's say you're very blessed and you have 5 babies, right? Well, you're raising them, you're schooling them, and you get a little bit older. You're calming down a little bit. You're moving into a different phase of life where you're a wife and a mother, and it's beautiful. And your children look to you, and your husband values you. you know, and he sees you as beautiful because you're the mother of his children, and you're teaching them, and you're loving them and nurturing them, and you're serving him, and it's a beautiful thing. And he looks at you, and there's nothing prettier, there's nothing more beautiful, because of the role that you're fulfilling is actual beauty. Then your eldest children begin to get older, they get married themselves, they have babies. Now you're a grandmother. This is perfect because, as some of you may know, women can have some crazy hormones that, you know, affect us. And it's true. But I am a firm believer that during this whole like perimenopause, menopause phase, if you're rocking grandbabies and holding grandbabies and doing those sorts of things, you're getting all this oxytocin. I think that's how it's intended. And have you ever seen a great grandmother surrounded by her children and grandchildren and great grandchildren? Have you ever seen one of those pictures? What they look like? They are like, they're not upset. They're not depressed. They have no confusion about their purpose. They are so happy and so fulfilled. They look forward to their next role in life. They cherish it, and they help their daughters be good wives and mothers. And their daughters-in-law, same. And they do those things, and that's what we're equipped to do. And that's the beauty that we should be seeking. I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep up our appearance. Absolutely we should. But it should be reflective of our different stages of life, you know? And women, hold on, just wait a second. Women should love themselves enough to let themselves be women, and to stop hating the men that want to love us. We just won't let it because we're being stubborn and disagreeable, and, you know, we're choosing other things. And in reality, they're not the things that are best for us.
It is consciously intended or not, focusing so much on women's appearances has an inherently anti-children impact. If women are raised in a culture that obsesses about their appearance and
Yes.
teaches them that their only value comes from their looks, then of course they're going to be reluctant to become mothers.
Yes.
Being pregnant, giving birth, raising children, that ages you, and that's fine. It's a beautiful stage of life. You're a bit older. You're no longer some young party girl. You're a mother now. That's great. Embrace it. Be a mother. You had your time being young and hot. That's a legitimate stage of life. I hope you enjoyed it. But
I hope you didn't enjoy it that much. I hope you don't have that stage, because it does nothing for you. It doesn't help you. And, you know, it really gets in the way of you being able to appreciate your life fully as a mother, because you've had all this stuff in your head about this is important and that's important. And you don't need to have practice breaking up with people before you're married. I don't think being young and hot is a great thing to do. And I wish that women could be told this message long before, you know, they're sort of getting ready to get off the carousel, so to speak. I wish they could hear it when they're 13. I really do. I wish people had told me. I wish parents had told me. I wish it had been somewhere other than in my Bible, which if I had just listened to just that, then I would have done it. But there's so many voices like, oh, that was back then. Oh, that was written by men. Oh, that's not true anymore. Times have changed. Okay, times changed, but God didn't. Times changed, but our biology didn't. Women are still the same, men are still the same. And we're still created to complement one another and be with each other, not to be isolated. Humans are not solo creatures.
but be graceful in the transition. As you get older, men will find you less attractive. That's a fact. So allow yourself to move into the next expression of femininity. Build your self-worth, your self-esteem around something other than your appearance. Otherwise, you may live to regret it, because whether or not you want to admit it, the end is coming. You're not going to be a young, hot, sexy thing forever, so plan for the future. And for the rest of this video, I want to talk about, for men who are 30 years or older, what age women they are best approaching. Is it women the same age who are also in their 30s? Or if they can get away with it, should they be dating 20-year-olds? If your goal is to have children and a loyal wife and pair bonding, which of those two options is actually the smarter choice, and what are the potential dangers? If you want to hear that discussion, you're going to want to check out the full-length version of this video, which is available on my Patreon.
Okay, the link to this video, to his YouTube video, will be in the description. I encourage you guys to go and check it out and give it a like, and go to the Patreon, the finish of his video. I think that I, of course, will not endorse, oh, this is the type of woman you should be looking for, because I don't think, I disagree with him that you're gonna, find it. I don't think there's any good answer. I don't think you can say, oh, well, you should look for a 20-year-old, because ideally you should, but they're going to, even if you find a good one, wherever she is on the graph, she can disappear and move to somewhere else on the graph. Therefore, there is no wife area. That's the hot, crazy matrix. It's just not safe. So I could never say, oh, this is the type of woman you should find and look for, because even if you find her, she's going to stay that way. Is she really that way? You don't know. And if she's not, the stakes are too high. You could lose too much. The risk is too great. Men have a lot of power in sort of going on strike, because, like I said earlier, reacting to that one woman who was saying, and men are going to have to change. No, why? Why do they have to change? They don't have to change. The ladies are not in the power position they think they're in. It is absolutely a figment of their imagination. Much like on yesterday's video, when 2 + 2, maybe it equals 4, maybe not. I mean, that one woman was, if they can go to that length, and you can't deal with them. So thank you guys. I think Alexander Grace makes a lot of good points, but I also think disagree on a couple of things. And I think the women are scared, and I think a lot of them are not admitting it. I think they're never going to admit what's really going on. And because they don't want to be wrong. They've been told that you're a girl boss, and you can do anything that a man can do. And then what happens when they can't, or it's very difficult for them, or they're just empty inside because it's not what they're wired to do? It's going to get interesting. So it's going to malfunction. They're malfunction worse than they already are. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me on this. Let me know what you guys think of Alexander Grace. A lot of you guys have brought him up to me, asked me if I've seen his content, etc. So I wanted to share this one with you and go over it. We'll have to do a Kevin Samuels one coming up. Let me know if there's anybody else out there that I've missed. I'm sure there probably is. I'm trying to think if you've mentioned them off the top of my head, but top of my head is blank. So I hope you're having a lovely Friday, is it? Hope you're having a lovely Friday. I hope you have protected your peace today. I hope you know that you are valuable. I hope you know that you are made in the image of God. You were. And I hope that you fed your soul today. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.